It's the little baby one. You got one? Right. Okay. Well, we'll stop that in a moment. When you're ready, Herve, do you want to?
All right.
Herve's starting now, shut up.
Starting. I'm going to start before I become a teacher. It's a short story. I became a teacher accidentally. I was managing the marketing department, and one day they were missing a teacher, so they needed a business teacher. They say, Herve, you should know a little bit about business. Can you take over? So I went there. I did a session. Students were all nice and quiet, and the session went really well. And at the end of the session, the manager thought I was really good, and they thought I should become a teacher. That's why I'm doing this qualification. So back then, I wasn't stressed. I looked young. In fact, I have a picture of myself.
Fresh Prince.
Yeah, that's me. Younger, cool. I had no idea what was coming. And after that, when I become a teacher, I become very stressed. I look more like this. Angry, bold. I just lost my way. So the biggest problem was managing and challenging behavior. And unfortunately, we always encounter challenging behavior. And in any class, really, you won't find a class with no student with any challenging behavior. These are the common behavior. Talking out of turn, interrupting, lack of correct equipment, all these things, defacing, work, inappropriate laughter, all these things. But unwritten rules, any guys will tell you when they go to the urine, they always skip one. You can't stand next to the other because you don't want to look at the business. So you just, it's an unwritten rule. But learners don't know that. You might think this is basic. They need to sit there, be quiet, or they need to behave. No. For them, it's no unwritten rules. For us teachers, you think that it's easy. They should know it. They should do it. But it's not like that. That's why. That's what you encounter. What they are. They're bad boys or bad girls. So they're asking you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to handle them? What are you going to do? Are you going to knock them down? Are you going to stamp your authority? I am the teacher, you respect me. Or are you going to threaten them? Or are you going to do the old-fashioned thing, smack them? It doesn't work, these things.
You get sacked for that.
Yes. But in very nature, it requires to have patience. If you want to be a teacher, a good teacher, if you want to handle bad behavior, you need to be patient. And this is something I've realized. I work with young people who've worked with the youth offending team, who've been improved. Basically, I work with the worst behaved children. And the only way you really can deal with them is by giving them time and being patient. If you're not patient, it's never going to work. Punishing them is not always the right way. Because when you punish them, they try to challenge your behavior. They try to challenge you. And the biggest issue about punishing young people is the consistency of it. Sometimes two young people might commit the same thing, but you might give them a different punishment. And that can cause a massive rift in the class. So, yeah, that's what I've already said. And what I've realized is, instead of me focusing on punishing them, I start rewarding those who are doing well. I think that gets them excited. They want to do well because they want to be rewarded. And what I've come up with, I've created this. This is a register and a behavior monitor. What I do is, on Monday, I will mark them for the attendance. I'll mark them for foul mouth. So I allocate 5 points if they haven't used a foul mouth all session. 5 points for punctuality. 5 points for not using the mobile phone. So I have an expectation for all the learners. By the end of the week, they all should at least have 50 points. And anyone below 50 points means they have to work extra time or extra hours, anything like that. So I just kind of give them a punishment. We need to teach learners how to behave. It's not always about just telling them, you're doing this bad, you're doing that bad. You need to spend time first to kind of understand why they're behaving that way and teach them how to behave. And the only way you can do this, for instance, at the beginning of the session, you can tell them, today I'm expecting you all to say hi when you come in the morning. These are the basic things, but unfortunately, some of the learners I work with, they don't even know how to say hi, they don't even know how to say thank you. So these are very basic things they will need in social life. So you teach them the behavior, you just don't expect them to know it. For instance, this young kid swearing, yeah, probably copy of someone. Could be dad, it could be someone you saw on TV. So it's another way to say that you must be the change you wish to see. So you have to kind of portray what you're doing. Sometimes when I'm with my learners, I'll write on the wall their names. So if they misbehave, I'll just put a tick. And sometimes they tell me, why don't you put your own name? You know, it's a way of them saying that, okay, if we misbehave, you misbehave as well. If you use your phone, we want you to put a tick on your name. So you have to reflect what you're trying to tell them to do. You can't just say to them, don't talk while I'm teaching. But when you give them a task, you're talking and kind of disrupting them. You have to kind of show that. And the last thing is, the teacher, basically in this quote, is trying to say that you, the teacher, you're in control of your class. You represent everything. You're responsible for everything that's going to happen in your class. In terms of behavior, you need to keep your temper in check. If you are angry, if you're making decisions while you're angry, you're not always going to make the right decision. So when you're dealing with a behavior issue, you kind of need to calm yourself down, keep your temper in check, and make the right decision. So that was a bit quick one. Thank you. Any question? Sorry. Thank you.
I think you picked a challenging one. I mean, behaviour is really difficult, isn't it? In any context, but particularly in the one that you're dealing with. It's really difficult. So some of these strategies, how effective, what's the impact been on your teaching of adopting some of those strategies?
I think the one I've adopted is the register one. It does work because I've been trained for so long to find a way of punishing them. Sending them back home, it's not just a happy mood for them, they're just going to go home, they're happy. And calling the dad, stopping the bus rate, it just doesn't work. And I thought by rewarding them, it's going to work. And I've noticed a massive change. You can see when you give a task, you say, whichever finish first, I'm going to give this. And you just see everyone working really hard to finish it. So it depends on which group of young people you work with, but those I work with, they're extreme, they've been arrested. So sending them home or no giving them money, it's just not going to do anything to them.
It's about the reward.
Yeah, if you give them a reward, they're just going to.
I mean, I think the other really important general point there is that you see behaviour as something that you have to teach, not an assumption that you have to model it for them, but also tell them what you expect, rather than assuming that they'll know. I think that's a powerful
exactly, because like some of the young people I work with, they have no idea of these things. You open the door for them, you hold the door, they just walk in. It's like you look at them and say, whoa. You say thank you, I hold the door for you. They just don't know it.
We had a behaviour management guy here last week at the specialist conference, and he was giving some strategies, some of which were similar to the ones that Herve talked about, but he did some other really interesting ones as well, which were to do with not getting into a confrontation. You mentioned that, Herve, that they kind of feel small if you confront them with, and you say stop doing that. And so he said you can use like secret signals to people to behave. And so if you want someone to take their coat off, you can just go, like that, and then walk away. And the assumption is that they'll do it. And then if they don't, you thank them for doing it, even though they haven't done it yet. So you'd say, Darren, cool, thanks. And then you'd walk away. So you're not going to stand and watch him comply, because then he'll feel small. But if you say their name, wait till they look at you, and then say, cool, thanks, and go off and do something else, generally they will do it. And it works, because I've been trying it in my classes, and it's a powerful one as well. Thank you, Herve. I'll stop talking now. Can't resist, can I? Okay, well, it's nearly past, so shall we take a break? Ian's going to come up at 1:45 to tell you about the Masters course. Cliff, I know you might want to get set up before you go on your break, but the rest of you, we'll see you at 1:45. Thank you.